Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Contact Hamilton. My name is Leah Pollard. I'm the Executive Director here at Contact Hamilton, and it is really my honor and privilege on behalf of the board and the staff of Contact Hamilton, administrators of Developmental Services Ontario, to welcome you here today for an important announcement in support of developmental services across our province. I would like to begin by extending a very warm welcome to Honourable Dr. Jacek, Minister of Community and Social Services, and Mr. Ted McMeekin, MPP, and their staff. Thank you for choosing our organization to make your announcement. We are delighted to host you, and we are looking forward to your remarks. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our MCSS regional office staff, in particular, our program supervisor, Leanne Beebe, and Linda Cannell, who is a program supervisor for our Hamilton-based agencies. They are such critical partners in service delivery. I see many friends in the audience today representing our vitally important service provider partners across the West region, including our sister DSO and passport agency provider from the London area. And a special welcome to all other service providers here today. I'm also very happy to acknowledge our board chair, Matt Fletcher, and board vice chair, Miriam Gracie, also in attendance today, representing our Contact Hamilton Volunteer Board of Directors. And last but not least, I would like to welcome the management and supervisory staff of Contact Hamilton. Thank you for being here. It is now my distinct privilege to introduce to you Mr. Ted McMeekin, MPP for Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, Westdale. Mr. McMeekin currently serves as Parliamentary Assistant to the Premier. He has previously served as Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister of Community and Social Services, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, Minister of Consumer Services, and Minister of Government Services. Mr. McMeekin has a long history of dedicated community service, not least of which includes serving as Mayor of Flamborough and as City Councillor for Hamilton. Mr. McMeekin is known to many of us gathered here today and has been a great advocate and champion for people with developmental disabilities and their families. Welcome, Mr. McMeekin.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, and I should say brothers, and you said sister. It's brothers and sisters, right? The sisters are here too, so that's great. And Leah, thanks for that. You read the introduction I wrote for you just perfectly. I did. I'm tempted to say I can't wait to hear what I'm going to say after something. Anyhow, I am really thrilled to be here with my colleague, the Honourable Minister, Linda Jacek, who fortunately followed me as minister and this very interesting and often tough portfolio, and is achieving things now that I only dreamed of achieving when I was there. She's just an incredible person. I've got all these notes to introduce her, but I'm not gonna use them. She gets it. Donna, how are you? Yeah, Donna and I have been friends since we were kids. Yeah, goodness me. Anyhow, good to see you. She's the, can I call you the new Minister of Community and Social Services? I guess, yeah. But she really gets it. My mom used to say when I was growing up that the biggest step we could take as a human being was what she called the 1 foot leap. You know what the 1 foot leap is? It's the distance between the head and the heart and back, right? This young lady gets it. And she is a fearsome advocate. I used to always mind my P's and Q's. I didn't want to rile too many people up. And Minister Jacek doesn't care. She just charges right in and messes up everybody's hair. And They say, who was that? Was that the Wonder Woman we're seeing on anyhow, no. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but I'm not exaggerating. She really gets it, and she's wonderful, and she does a great job. And I've always said, and Helena will recall this, I could tell you about the award she's won, right? How she holds a master's degree of health sciences from the University of Toronto, but I'm not going to do that. I could tell you about her involvement in numerous health and community organizations and how she just recently won she won the Psychological Association Public Service Award and the Ontario Medical Association Lifetime Membership and the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons Helen Keller Award. But I'm not going to do that either. I'm not going to talk about any of those things, right? Because that would be to just drag out my time here, and you didn't come here to hear me. So I would just say this personally. I've always believed with all my heart that budgets are sacred documents. They're theological documents. You show me your budget, any government, and I'll tell you what you believe, right? And we've gone from a time not that long ago where people were dropping off their kids at our office because they'd given up hope. They were frustrated. They didn't know what to do. And those days are gone. Hopefully forever. And a big part of why they're gone is my good friend and the Minister of Community and Social Services, Dr. Helena Jasic. Doctor.
Well, thank you so very much, Ted, and it's wonderful to be here on your home turf. Ted alluded to budgets being theological documents. You have to know that I was very fortunate when I came into this portfolio, June 2014, that the budget that had just been prepared and that following that election we were about to pass was engineered by the one and only Ted McMeekin, who had put $810 million over 3 years into the budget for community and social services, specifically for developmental services. So I have to thank Ted for giving me kind of a springboard into this ministry in order to be able to do what we have over the last 3 years, and now going forward, of course, keeping the work first and foremost in our minds, because of course there's always more to do. Anyway, I'm just delighted to be here at Contact Hamilton. It was my first visit to a DSO when I became the minister, almost, I think it was in the September of 2014. And it was DSO here in Hamilton that I was brought to see, because you have a wonderful reputation. Everyone who works at Contact Hamilton is considered by our ministry as always in the forefront of thinking of new ideas and working on behalf of some of the most vulnerable people. So let's salute Contact Hamilton. So, as you know, Contact Hamilton is one of 9 organizations that are considered DSOs, developmental service organizations across the province. And they do play a critical role in being the main point of contact for adults with developmental disabilities in making critical connections to the services available to them in their community. And so as I've traveled across the province over the last 3 years, I've met with many individuals with developmental disabilities, their families, as well as agencies. And I continue to be reminded that there's need in helping individuals make those connections to services and supports in local communities, and that we need a more person-centered approach. As I was saying to Leah a little earlier, I, of course, get to read the letters that come into my ministry, often from parents and family members of those with developmental disabilities. Somebody else writes the reply. I'm not always totally satisfied with the reply, but we make sure that it does address the concerns. And I have to sign those letters. So I have to put the money where my mouth is in terms of improving things. And believe me, our ministry probably gets the most letters from concerned individuals, from vulnerable Ontarians in the entire government. And I do take those concerns very seriously, and we do try and answer to the very best ability to ensure that we're meeting people's needs in a person-centered way. So today, I'm here to announce that Ontario will be making investments that I know will support increased connections to local services and supports and help people with developmental disabilities best determine their own future. So our government is investing over $12.5 million in funding towards 10 key initiatives aimed at improving the service experience for people with developmental disabilities and their families. This targeted investment will help make vital connections between people with developmental disabilities and the services they need in their communities. When I was first briefed on the role of DSOs, I must say I started asking a lot of questions, but surely they could do more. And in the scheme of government, DSOs were actually established back in 2011. And though you and I are no doubt impatient people wanting to get things moving, they were relatively new organizations in the scheme of the provincial government. So while I was exceptionally impatient to expand the role, it did require quite a bit of consultation just to make sure we were going to concentrate and focus on the most needed services. So I'm just going to highlight a few of these key initiatives that I think will help you understand exactly where we have seen there are some gaps and where we have to do more to help. So, the initiatives aim to assist individuals by enhancing service navigation and information resources at Developmental Services Ontario offices. So in other words, there will be more information as to what's out there and more assistance in actually making sure people get to the service that they think is most appropriate. So that linking role, or as we like to call it, navigation, is going to be enhanced. Another initiative is by supporting individualized planning and housing solutions. It's become very obvious that we need to increase our stock of residential opportunities for those with developmental disabilities. I've received I don't know how many letters from aging parents who have been able to manage for years, and as we all, I'm writing a new will next week, so, you know, we all come to that realization that we may not be there forever, and we need to plan for our loved ones in the future. And that opportunity for housing is absolutely important, most important. I believe there may be people from Beth Tikva here, part of the Intentional Community Consortium, very strong supporter of the agencies that have come together to ensure that everybody understands that everybody deserves a roof over their head. I've been working very closely with my colleague, the Minister of Housing, Chris Ballard. As you know, again, following in Ted McMeekin's footsteps, he is looking at a long-term affordable housing strategy. And I am there to ensure that he includes people with developmental disabilities as part of that affordable housing strategy by specifically mentioning them. You know, there was somewhat of a it was understood. Of course we include people with developmental disabilities, but I really feel it needs to be spelled out because it is a very important group that can be, unfortunately, forgotten. Another one of our initiatives is to expand family support resources and networks by increasing the Adult Protective Service Worker Program, APSW. And we will be providing more specialized services and supports that will improve the lives of adults with complex needs. And again, I've come to learn a little bit more about the Adult Protective Service Worker. I don't really like that name, but never mind. Obviously, what they do is what's important. And actually, though these individuals are clearly helping those with the most complex needs. One of the things that I'm thinking is that really everyone with a developmental disability, they often rely on family and friends and so on. But to have somebody that they can rely upon and to call for help is something, when circumstances change or whatever, is something that I think we need to look at going forward as well. But as part of this announcement, we're increasing the Adult Protective Service Worker program so that we will have more individuals out there to help. Another area is our partnership with the Ontario Disability Employment Network, ODIN. And I don't know if any of you have heard Joe Dale speak. We were both actually presenting over in Northern Ireland just last week about some of our initiatives here in Ontario. There were 45 countries at that supported employment conference. It was really quite inspiring. And we were able to share a lot in terms of what do individuals with developmental disabilities who would like to and can contribute in terms of the labor market, what kind of support do they actually need on an ongoing basis as well. So we're going to ensure that we support awareness, collaboration, and partnerships between DS agencies, employment support, service providers, school boards, we've got some work to do with some school boards across the province, and employers to promote work experiences from youth through to adulthood. And we're very much coming at it that this is totally a win-win between the employer and the employee. You may be aware that CIBC has just recently made a major announcement that they're hiring 500 people with disabilities, and amongst those will be those with developmental disabilities. So we're seeing some leadership from some major corporations. Of course, we all know about Tim Hortons and Mark Wafer, but this is beginning to be a theme, and it is happening globally, amongst all the countries that we met at the conference. People are all on this track. The issue related to sheltered workshops, many of you may have heard about the fact that we no longer want to support sheltered workshops. We want an orderly transition and so on, but this is not something that we want to perpetuate, because we feel that we are on a path to transformation, and it means looking at all the types of supports we've provided, analyzing them, see what works, what doesn't. And the sheltered workshop one was one that I feel its day has come and it's now gone. So we're going to work very hard on this opportunity for employment, whatever that means, whether it's part-time, whether it's leading to employment through volunteer opportunities. But this gives everybody the opportunity to be included in society. So this investment, this $12.5 million specifically targeted to DSOs, is part of the Ontario government's multi-year investment strategy in community and developmental services. Part of our budget 2017 that we just passed recently allowed for an additional $677 million over 4 years. Following on my predecessor's footsteps, able to continue this increase to the existing base budget for developmental services, which is over $2 billion. So we will be moving it considerably forward. So I'm pleased to say that a lot of work on these initiatives has already been underway. So what we're doing now is really concentrating on making sure that across the province, the 9 DSOs are providing the same types of services so that we have some fairness and equity across these artificial boundaries that exist in many different ministries, of course, when we have organizations in a certain geographic area. We want to ensure, because some of the letters I get are related to people moving from one part of the province to another, and that they see that the services are somewhat different from community to community. So We know that DSOs have begun hiring staff to help people with developmental disabilities connect with services in their community and better understand what options are available to them. So all in all, these actions further our goal of a more inclusive, person-centered approach to delivering developmental services. And most importantly, I know this investment will make a meaningful impact in the lives of the individuals and families that we serve. Together, we will continue to work to provide greater flexibility, choice, and inclusion in the developmental services that we offer. So once again, thank you to Contact Hamilton for hosting us here today, and we look forward to continuing to work with all of you in the future. Thank you so much.
Minister, thank you for your announcement and for your continued investment in adult developmental services. This new investment will ensure that people and their support networks have the information that they need and are connected, better connected to services in their communities that are meaningful and appropriate to them. I do believe that this investment will make a positive difference in the lives of people and their families. Thank you, Minister, for your continued commitment. We are at the conclusion of this event. I would like once again to thank the Minister and MPP McMeekin and everyone here today for attending and being with us. We welcome you to stay and have some refreshments in the room next door. And also, please take this time to connect with new friends and with old friends. Thank you very much for coming.